So effect subtyping is back. Yeah, effect subtyping is back. Um, I think we already have discussed that in a recent stream, if I recall correctly. Um, but basically, we removed yieldability and we basically had um, back the subtyping, but this time the subtyping is more strict. We are now not just having subtyping just because it's fancy to have. Um, we now have subtyping only where it actually makes sense and only where there is a clear meaning of what that type would mean. For example, if you check, if you check things like the fibers, for example, and we go into the fiber definition, the fiber is not an effect subtype. It's not an effect subtype because, again, in effect v3 you could have yielded fibers, but it's not clear what's the meaning of yielding a fiber. Are you forking that? Are you joining that? Are you awaiting that? What's the meaning when you, for example, yield a fiber? And that does not make a lot of sense. So that's why in v4 fiber is no more a subtype of an effect. But for example, if we look into, okay, and if we check extends effect dot, for example, you can see that exit still extends and subtypes effect. We also have still things like where it is affectable prototype, find the references. We still have things like, for example, a child process effect, subtypes effect, because then when you have things like a child process description, yielding that describes basically as spawning that's a process, or in things like effect workflows, yielding the effect of one activity basically means executing that activity inside of workflow definition. So evaluate basically runs the execution, or things like, for example, yielding an effect context, mean an effect context service tag, or means basically just attempting to get the value of that service. So things that where it makes clear sense are still effect subtypes, and we opted out of yieldability instead, and because it was not great for things like workflows and other primitives where you still had to write a lot of dot as effect in order to convert whatever you had into an effect. And instead, we did also a pass over the APIs to ensure that there are no APIs that implicitly, without you doing that explicitly, flatten things, so that there is no risk that weird error channel or weird things happen without you explicitly call things like flatten, etc. Is there a comprehensive list of which types are subtypes of effect? I don't think right now, because again, we are moving with the beta, so things change. But I don't think that we have one. The way I usually look for that again is just by watching everything that extends the effectable prototype, or the affectable class. Those are the two primitives that basically are used even internally, as you can see, to define new effect subtypes. And this gives you a good slice of the types that subtype effect.